Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Season 3, Episode 1, Rapunzel's Return, in which we found out that Mother Gothel had sex! Alright, so... So... Okay. Yeah, Mother Gothel doesn't really do it for me either. I mean, Donna Murphy's great, but... So, okay. Cassandra ended up going through the door. We find out what she saw in that flashback. She heard a young, ghostly girl claiming to be her friend, and rather than anything rational, immediately went along with it completely. Okay. This probably should have thrown up some red flags immediately, especially for someone like Cassandra. My actual notes here said, you have got to be kidding me, when we find out that she's, Mother Gothel's daughter. Can I just say that Mother Gothel really is just the most evil person in this series? In this franchise, actually. In fact, if we did actually branch this out into a princess verse, I think we can make a pretty strong argument that Mother Gothel is the most evil character, like, of all of these. Yeah, this woman was abusive to 2 separate innocent children in a very private, personal, and extremely messed up way. Yeah, one of which was her biological daughter, and the other one of which was her adoptive daughter. Yikes! Cassandra literally sings about having to be useful as she's cleaning up the house because that's the only thing she sees in her. God. I hope Gothel is actually dead at this point. That's still in the wings, who knows. Because, like, in a series where pretty much nobody dies, Gothel deserves to. So yeah, of course she abandons her child. Why wouldn't she? That's silly. I do really like this moment with the guard captain, by the way. Can I just say that? The guard captain actually just being like, hey, don't worry, I got you. Yes. For the love of God. Yes. It's no wonder he then took her in and adopted her, right? Like, did you not see how, like, he saw what happened? Like, I'm sorry, I'm saying this so badly. Yeah, he adopted her without hesitation because he clearly could see that this criminal, who he probably didn't know anything about, was her mother. She flat out said, Mama? Right? Like, she clearly indicated that. And then her mother abandoned her. And so he could not deal with that at all. And so he adopted her. Hell yes. I take it all back, guard captain. You're cool in my book for that one action alone. Anyways. So. I don't even want to talk about this. Can I be honest? I've put real thought into not releasing these ruminations on YouTube. I don't really want to see the fan base's reaction to a lot of my thoughts on this show. Like, I've been enjoying myself, but I've also been pointing out a lot of maybes and a lot of come close to greatnesses. I've been giving a lot of oranges, is what I'm trying to say. And orange means very good, as I've pointed out many times. But I haven't been giving out a lot of reds. There have been a few. We did have several. Oh god, the MLP comment section was terrible. I almost didn't release those ruminations either. So I'm going to go and be honest and say that everything about Cassandra's scenes really doesn't work for me. She always felt like she was outshined. Like, my mother picked you over me. Like, are you not processing any of this? Do you I'm sorry, your mother was a horrible person who bailed on you. You have just spent 2 years becoming closer, becoming very thorough friends. I actually went out of my way to point out how close you have been, how your friendship has not only existed, but it's been tested and then found stronger. She actually says, my whole life I've been cast aside for you. What? Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of with you, Lord Harriman. This really, I think I called it. I think this is a Pas du Cat moment. I think they wanted to course correct, and so they introduced a new character in the place of the pre-existing one. Because I'm sorry, this is not Cassandra. I'm no levity, no exaggeration. We're just gonna focus on this straight. This is not Cassandra. I don't care how much. Like, this is the Zelda series all over again. I don't care how much you tell me all the Zelda games are connected. The proof is right there on the screen, right? Now, I was about to point out we do actually have an out. Because we do have that stupid ghost girl. And don't think I didn't notice that was a new actress who was playing her. And didn't actually do anything, right? So, that feels like a Chekhov's ghost. So it's entirely possible she's still being mind-controlled or influenced or cursed or whatever. Lord knows that is the kind of thing in this. No, you're exactly right, Lord Harriman. I really like Cassandra as a character. I've grown to be very fond of her over the last 2 seasons. So, huh? Yeah, Cass is kind of cool, and she's a necessary dynamic. She's a necessary variance in between Eugene and Rapunzel. So then she sings a song, and as usual, Cassandra's voice actress is amazing. But I was paying attention to the lines in that song. This thing where you think you've always been my friend, and how she's always been overlooked and abused. And then the lines of the song talk about how she's crossing a line and burning a bridge, and for us, if we're over, that's fine. It's a very good song in isolation. Like, it's a fantastic. I actually need to go download it later because it's a really good song. But not for the first time. I don't actually think the lines fit here. So, yeah, gameplay, yes. Like, I'm not actually joking. I do want to go and I want to find a copy of this song just to put into my record because it's a really, really good song. Sorry, I just realized we're still on the Andromeda music. I apologize. Yeah, I'm Crossing the Line is awesome, and she's such a great singer. I could see that, Loke. And I also kind of like Mr. Red's idea, as horrible as that sounds. No offense, Mr. Red. Because it's easier to just call it gameplay act. Like, we already call it gameplay in games, so we just call it gameplay. It's just transference, that's all it is. Especially since it applies linearly. So, I don't like to get down speculations and what-ifs, but what if Cass died here? What if Cassandra laid down her life? What if, after all the question marks and the what-ifs, and we don't know exactly what happens when you claim the stone, what if it would have killed you? And so Cassandra takes the stone and dies. And then you look at the rest of this episode. Yeah, exactly, Lord Harriman. Like, she knew this was a trap. Or maybe she didn't even know, she just suspected. She's always been the skeptical one, the cautious one, right? So she decided to go ahead and try and take the stone to save Rapunzel's life. Succeeded in the doing. That song is essentially sung as her final song, right? And a lot of the other tidbits of this episode in particular actually line up with this pretty well. You know that montage as they go back home? Like, just that already kind of fits this kind of lane shifting. Because that's what's happening in this episode. We have functionally chunked over to another lane. Previous story has ended. New story has begun, right? We've completely shifted arcs, lanes. I don't have a better word. Lane. We're in a different lane. And there's a bit, I'm going to skip ahead of my notes, but right at the end, there's a bit where Rapunzel sits down with Eugene and says, I think I'm ready to talk about Cass. Think about that line. If she was dead. Anyways. Do I trust the writers enough? No. But, sorry, I just... Either way, she's evil. Okay, whatever. So then Ulf shows up. I'm sorry, like, okay. It's been a year, right? I mean, this isn't even making fun. It took them a year to make this journey to get here. Granted, that was on foot. Or on carriage back, horseback, whatever. They weren't exactly booking it, but a year is a pretty long trip. And Ulf just kind of makes it in the airship, or in the balloon, excuse me. Okay. Yeah, they also got stranded on an island for a few weeks. 6 weeks, I think it was, so that slowed them down even more. Admittedly. So we could chop that down. It took them 11 months to make this trip. Yeah, no, it's the geography thing. And I'm just going to skip over this very quickly because he comes out and hey, yeah, I'm going to let this go. And then they decide to go back. This has got to be at least a multi-day journey, right? Where do they go to the bathroom? Do they have food? Do they have water? They are crammed onto that balloon. Oh yeah, I also noticed Adira got completely warped. Move back past that too. Anyways, this is a huge ass path that they're That's the wrong word. Travel path? Whatever. It's a big trip going all the way back. And they just kind of gloss over all of that. Now, I'm not necessarily mad about that. And yeah, I'm not even going to talk about the fact that balloons tend to be at the mercy of the wind. Let's just ignore that. We can have magical. We have hair. We can have magical wind. I'm gonna let that go too. I guess my overall point is it feels like the episode cannot wait to just kind of smash that reset button as hard as possible. Did you notice that? This isn't even a plot episode. This is actually a filler episode. Oh, it starts with plot as Cassandra explains her reasoning, but the moment the song ends and Cassandra runs off the camera, the episode cannot wait to get right back to the filler of the week episode. So, okay. Yeah, no, the status quo reset here is very hard. Now, I'm not saying this couldn't work. What I probably would have done is I probably would have had this transition take a little bit longer, have them talking on the trip, maybe show a little bit of them like stopping periodically on the way. And I don't mean just like to add the continuity, but it's like have some character moments there. Have Eugene periodically trying to reach out to Rapunzel, and she's just, nope. She's just dead walling this whole time. And Eugene, who respects her, of course, and loves her and cares about her, he's willing to be hands off, but he keeps doing that. Yeah, show some clothes to show the passage of time. New merch opportunity, always nice. Visit some of the places I've already been to. That makes it cheaper because I've already got those sets built with the drawings already done for that. Right? There's some ideas here that you can do to try and show that this is a substantial journey and a notable reset to the status quo, changing everything. Because, or not reset. No, I said that right. Yeah, a reset to the status quo. I said that right. So they get all the way back. Cool. Turns out the entire town is enslaved and in a quarry as ordered by King Frederick. Okay. And it turns out that it's all being run by Hipster Man. It's actually what I wrote down in my notes. I had to think for a moment to remember that his name is Andrew. So Frederick is of course mind controlled. Obviously, I mean, if a good character who is good aligned suddenly starts acting in an evil manner, it has to be some kind of mind control, right? That's just logical. So Varian then shows up. I'm going to be honest, that completely threw me. Of all the things I was expecting, them suddenly just bringing him back into the limelight was not on that list. So it turns out the Saporians and Varian are teaming up, and Why, oh, the coat looks awesome. Legit. Why are these hips... Okay, you know what? So the hipsters managed to take over the kingdom. Okay. I'm going to make fun of that more later, because it's not actually their fault. Because we have a pretty good action sequence, very silly action sequence, though. And you notice that? There's nothing serious about this action sequence. It's kind of cartoony, kind of Looney Tunesy, and that's not a complaint. It's just that's very much the tone here. Andrew also has some serious hair action going on. Just yeah, where are the guards? Actually, that's a good question. They're probably in the mines mining because of something I'll get to in just a minute. Notice how in this very first scene, they're not only losing to these people, but Varian is already, like, hesitant about this. Like, okay. So then we see Xavier and Friedborg and Attila. Even Monty's there. That's actually kind of a nice moment. And this is where I make fun of the episode. Because we cannot defy orders from the king and queen. Any act against them would be treason. Allow me to remind you of the concept of that's an order. That's an order is usually used by writers who just want to have something happen and they don't really know how to do it, so they just have someone say that's an order. And everyone acts like it's a magic command word that absolutely mandates that they must do what they are being told to, regardless of all of their circumstances. So yeah, the commoners are willing to go and, you know, be mined to death because they were ordered to. To do anything else would be treason. This also neatly explains where the hell the guards are. They're probably in the mine, either guarding the people or mining themselves, because they were given an order too. Okay. I don't even know where to start with that, to be honest with you. But I do want to mention one other thing. King Frederick's memory has been erased, right? Like, that's the way that he and the queen act. So the specific thing to mention there is that King Frederick, minus some of his memory, suddenly turns into a horrifically evil tyrant. I'm not even going to comment on that. Let's just move past it. So Cassandra goes... Rapunzel goes out to retake her kingdom by herself. Okay. I guess it's possible the rest of the guards are out looking for Rapunzel, although that's even more ridiculous if that's true, Loke. In fact, you might be right, Loke, in which case I'm giving the episode too much credit. I apologize. Because what that means is even the guards acknowledge that they must follow the orders of their king, and the only one who could get them to do the right thing is some other royalty ordering them to, so they need to find Rapunzel. So... Anyways, where was I? So she's going to retake her kingdom. Several times in this episode, Rapunzel frequently refers to it as my kingdom. Where did that come from? I'm actually kind of confused by that. It feels like it comes out of absolutely nowhere. I know it's home, and she's happy to be home, but that's not what she says. She says my kingdom. I don't know. Maybe this is just a word choice thing, like the Destiny thing earlier. Either way, we find out... we finally find Varian's real motive, which is to be forgiven. I'm actually kind of with that. Like, I mean, don't mistake me. It's sure, Lord Hermont. This is actually kind of an interesting motive. He wants to do a villainous action to erase his previous villainous action because he feels so bad about it that he can't perceive any situation in which anyone would forgive him for it. That's kind of cool. It is resolved in 5 seconds. But hang on a second. Picture, like, I know this doesn't fit linearly, but picture several of the big character moments here if he'd been with us all the way throughout season 2. As he comes back, he comes back to Corona. with them, and he's like, I'm going to help the Sapporians, and we're going to make this memory thing. Oh my God, why have you betrayed me, Varian? You don't understand. It's not about, me forgiving them. It's about them forgiving me. You forgave me, but they'll never forgive me, and this is the only way. And then, of course, he gets locked in himself, and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know. I don't think that would work perfectly, to be quite honest with you. But there is another scene which I think would work much better if he'd been with them through the whole season. I'll point out when we get there. Anyways, so yeah, Andrew is now trying to destroy the kingdom. Cool. Eugene and Max are already here fixing. Oh, I also like how the beard was drawn on. And I noticed that the moment he formally switches sides is the moment he loses the beard. Ha ha. So, the Sapporians, what are they doing? He lost the coat. That was the sad part. Sadness. So they actually have an honest-to-goodness airship that shows up. Another toy opportunity, by the way. Yep, so they're going to go blow up the CD. They have another fight. I actually wrote a note where I said it's very hard to take any of these assholes seriously as they try to blow up the entire country and are beaten by a bumbling kid and a chameleon in a bubble. It's also the king and queen are very passive, even though the memory is altered, not mind controlled. That's just whatever. We're gonna go over this. And then we have the scene that I mentioned earlier. You'll notice I'm just skipping over the Sapporians because they're such nothing burgers that I have nothing to say about them. You know what works for me really well? There's a scene where Eugene is watching Rapunzel fight them, and he says, and everyone's freaking out, and Eugene says, don't worry, she's got this. And then she activates the shield. That is the third or fourth, I'm actually not 100% sure, time in which someone has demonstrable faith in her, and that allows her to activate her powers. I've noticed it before, but I think this is officially enough times to really call it a trend, that they're doing it on purpose. Especially because that's what breaks her out of the reverse incantation. Did you catch that? So she finally goes to Kieran, wraps her hair around it, starts the reverse incantation. Varian says, you didn't give up on me, I'm not giving up on you. That's what breaks her out of it. His faith in her. So we see that common thread there. And this is the scene that would have worked much better if he'd been with them the whole across season 2. That line, you never gave up on me, suddenly works so much better if we just had a whole season of him slowly being redeemed. I know it doesn't fit perfectly. I'm just commenting on it. I'm going to let go of the Varian thing from this point onward because I don't know anything about season 3 at this point. Like I've run out of behind the scenes material at this point. With one exception, with one last exception. So, okay, he breaks him out, and the note gets burned, and he's like, what was on the note? I just said, I'm proud of you. What? What? You teased that note. You spent an entire scene back in season 1 building up the significance of that note. It has been multiple times we have seen that that note has been pushed to the forefront of the camera. And I hate to point this out, but again, this is the last behind the scenes thing I did. You said multiple times off camera, that note is a significant part of Varian's journey. And Kieran's from the freaking Dark Kingdom. Of course the note was significant. No. Wipe it under the rug. Reset. Okay. We're good. It's just, this is what I meant earlier. This whole episode feels like they cannot wait to smash the reset button as hard as possible. I can imagine what's going on in the writer's room at this point, because we know season 2 has changed. And we know that by the time season 3 was being worked on, they knew that they were being actively sabotaged as a show. We also know that season 3 is going down an arc that probably was not intended originally, simply by virtue of how much season 2 has changed. That's how that works. It's one of the biggest reasons why when people ask me what I'm going to do with season 5 of DS9, my reaction is, I don't know. It depends on what leads up to that. Because the state of the world can change up to that, right? The state of the characters can change up to that. So you can really very much feel that they're just They're just trying to pound that reset button as hard as possible to get back to a flat out stop spot here, right? A status quo spot, so they can then use this as a launching point to go forwards. You'll notice the final song is the Adventure Continues song, usually said at the very, very end of a particular work. Like it's usually like the final song in a movie, for example, or in a game. Sometimes it's the kind of song that's said before another new story arc begins. Like, some of you will get this. Like in FF14, this is the kind of song that would be at the very end of Endwalker. And thus, and now a whole new story is beginning. It's that type of song. Good song, by the way. Enjoyable, all the songs in the show are enjoyable. But you can very much feel that they're just like, yep, just wipe everything away, and we're going to move on. Because that is exactly the vibe that they give here. So what do you think about the quality? Because a lot of what I've been talking about is more the impact and the implications as opposed to the quality of the episode itself. First, I do want to say thank you. I think that was TSB. So in the middle of that. Let me double check that. If it ever loads. It was TSB. Thank you very, very much, TSB. Always appreciate you. Oh, God, that's a good way to put it, Lord Harriman. It's a custody battle. Who suffers the most in the custody battle? The kids. And let's see. Here we go. And happy Thursday, by the way, TSB. It is Thursday, right? God, I'm losing track. A 19-inch CRT. In other waters. Goodbye, Volcano High. Road Warden, and I'm really glad you liked the Arcane Streaminations. This is not black. Let me start by saying that I cannot possibly say that this is a black episode. I know that someone who's not here right now has already given me their thoughts on the matter. That was orange, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, low orange, but orange nevertheless. Oh, it's definitely better than the last episode, 100%. I feel like this is a very strange one to review. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to review it in a vacuum. It's almost impossible for me to do that. It's something I have to actually put myself into a specific headspace to do. Because this episode has so much implication and consequences for the entire last season, the episode that came right before it, and arguably even the stuff from season 1. Yeah, no, execution is a thing. I have to admit, the Sapporians being... How do I phrase this? Starter villains? I know that's weird for a Season 3 thing, but you know what I mean, right? Like, they're kind of starter villains. Kind of fits. They're not really a threat here. Not in any substantial way. Cassandra's actress can still sing. I actually like several of the scenes Varian was in. I hate to say that because I also kind of dislike how Varian is just, and I'm good, right? Like it's just this turn. Again, they're just slamming that reset button as hard as they can. I'm kind of feeling yellow. Because there's too many individual moments that just work pretty well, even in a vacuum. Yeah, no, this episode definitely is just trying to shove the baggage of the previous episode off of itself as fast as it possibly can. I almost wonder if literally doing a straight up time skip might not have been a better idea. Just cut to them being back at Corona. It's like, oh, what do we do? And then, Variant, who's been there since all of season 2, is like, it's okay, princess, we'll figure this out. And then the Sapporians show up and they're like, we are the Sapporians. And, excuse me, I asked for no extra cocoa butter in my drink. Thank you. Ugh. Oh, yes, we're evil, by the way. Sorry. I'm feeling yellow. Let's do it. Yeah, they never resolved the king and queen being Wymite. I noticed that. They also never explained that to my satisfaction, if I'm being honest. Like, they didn't act like they were being mind wiped. Well, no, sorry, let me walk that sentence back. They didn't act like they were being memory wiped. They acted like they were being mind wiped. Do you like tea? They did show the Wand of Oblivion, but, like, we know what that thing can do. So how far back did they have to rewind them to put them into such a mind state? Whatever. That's nitpicking. It's just weird. So the next episode is named after one of the best movies ever made. And I'm going to cover it. In fact, I've actually already had dinner. Long story. So we're going to kind of we're going to cover this. So let's do season 3, episode 2, Return of the King.